So good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. My name is Jackie Owen and I'm the Relationship Manager at the College of Law, and I am joined by my colleague, Anita Hall, and she is a practical legal training lecturer at the College of Law and is one of my colleagues who teach into the program, so she could potentially be your PLT lecturer in a couple of years. So she's here to talk about the coursework side of things and the assessment side of things. So if you have any questions regarding that, feel free to ask Anita while we're lucky enough to have her this evening. So thanks everyone for joining. This is going to be a recorded presentation, so if anyone watching a little bit later on has any questions, my contact details will be at the end. So feel free to reach out via email or telephone or LinkedIn if you would like to ask any questions after the fact. As we go along, those that are online tonight, feel free to ask questions as well. So I'm going to share my screen and go through some slides with you, get those rolling. And tonight we've got, hold on, I did that the wrong way around. The little buttons at the bottom of my screen have gone a bit funny. We don't need to say that again. Oh, I've lost you guys. Hold on. I don't know what's happening with my, Anita, could you still see me okay?
I can see you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, excellent.
We can see and hear you as well.
Oh, excellent. Thanks for that. My little boxes of, I don't know what's going on with my, anyway, I'll just talk to Priya. This is, sorry, Jaya on screen. She's actually a UQ graduate. She's a double degree student as well. She did law and accounting, and she is currently a lawyer, working as a lawyer, and she has just moved to Herbert Smith Freehills actually, and she is in the resources area. So we love that Jaya is the face of PLT at the moment, and you guys can be very proud because she's a UQ graduate as well as a College of Law graduate. So we asked a few of our graduates, including Jaya recently, about why they did College of Law for PLT and also what they liked about it, what they thought were the best features, and obviously what we can do to improve as well. So what came through time and time again was actually that it was very flexible. And Jaya, when she was doing the course, actually she started it in Queensland and then moved with her partner across to Western Australia, where resources, the resources industry is happening. And she had a fairly new role and was a very busy lady and was settling into Western Australia. So she really loved that she could fit it around what was going on, and it was very flexible. She's since moved back to Queensland and is admitted and practicing in Queensland. So that comes through from a lot of our graduates, but we'll go through a few of the other features and obviously the content of the course as well. So I love this analogy. So if you think about university as the boat, you've built the boat, university has taught you the important theoretical foundations of the law, but now you need to operate that boat. And that's what practical legal training is giving you. It's giving you the practical skills to be able to take that boat and learn how to sail it out into law land. And we're adding those practical, essential skills that you'll need in your daily practice as an entry-level lawyer, and that you'll be able to go out into the profession and practice with confidence and competence as well. So that's what practical legal training, it's literally exactly what it sounds, giving you those practical skills on top of the theoretical knowledge that you've gained at university. So a few of our different graduates have said why they chose College of Law. It's about flexibility. It's about providing the support. So we'll talk through all the different support mechanisms that are within the College of Law to assist you through the program towards admission and then out into the profession as well. And also continuing on as you are a practicing lawyer as well. And how it does give you the confidence to go out into that entry-level lawyer position. So I hope it's not a big shock to anyone that just a law degree is not enough to call yourself a lawyer. You of course do need that law degree. It's the essential first step, but it is also a requirement of the profession, not just of the College of Law or, you know, what Jackie and Anita think you should do. It's actually a requirement of the profession that you complete your practical legal training on top of your law degree. So taking those practical skills and adding them onto the solid foundation of your theoretical law degree from the University of Queensland. And the PLT will actually give you an additional qualification called your Graduate Diploma of Legal Practice. So it is a postgraduate qualification on top of your undergraduate law degree as well. You must also then go through the admissions process through the, let's just say that everyone's going to practice in Queensland, but, you know, obviously if you do end up in another state, you'll go through a similar process. But in Queensland, we go through the Queensland Legal Practitioners Admissions Board, and it's a little bit of a rigmarole, the admissions process, but there's a little bit of a pack that you download and go through the process. You prove yourself a fit and proper person, and then you will go and be part of a really lovely admissions ceremony in the Supreme Court of Queensland. Someone who's also an admitted practitioner will stand up and move your admissions. So they sort of say a set script of where you got your law degree, where you did PLT, and that you have the approval of the board and seek the court's permission for you to be admitted. And then the Chief Justice will kind of nod at the other judges and say, yes, let such and such be admitted. So it's a really lovely day, and you will then come out, sign the roll of solicitors, and then have lots of photos with your friends and family and supporters and probably your mover, and then go to lunch or something fabulous like that. So it's a really lovely day, and it's a really big celebration, and a lot of lawyers say that that was actually the day they sort of celebrated their achievement even more than graduating uni, because it is that step into the profession. You'll then apply for your practicing certificate through the Admissions Board and Queensland Law Society, and then when you receive that, that's when technically you're a lawyer, or, you know, you can call yourself a lawyer or a solicitor. Don't go calling yourself anything like that beforehand. You can get yourself into trouble. Then you can also do other legal roles or non-legal roles, and then if you do seek to become a barrister, if that's a long-term goal of yours, after that, once you're admitted, you can practice for however long you want, whether that be short or long, and then you would do an exam to get into the bar course, and then you complete the bar course. So in Queensland, the solicitors and the barristers are separate. So that's a very simplified career pathway into the profession. Of course, once you do get to that that last level, there's many different career paths that an admitted solicitor qualification will take you. So we've got a few choices, and this is what our grads were talking about. They were talking about why they chose the College of Law and the flexibility. So I'm just going to see. Oh, there we go. Oh, I don't know what's going on. So they were talking about why they chose College of Law, what the benefits were, what the choices they had to make. So a few things to decide, and obviously this is when you're getting closer to actually doing the course, but things to sort of think about along the way. Do you want to do it full-time or part-time? It's probably the first one that you would decide on. It. It's much like uni, you've got those two options. So full-time will see you do the program over 15 weeks. Week 1 is face-to-face workshops, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and then you'll move on for the final weeks 2 to 15 will be online, but not in there's no lectures to attend. There's sort of no sort of face time that you need to show up for either on the computer or in person. It's all, and Anita's going to explain this a bit further, it's all a sort of work that you're given and all the resources that you're given, and you sort of work through those tasks and then submit them to a calendar throughout that time. So that's the full-time program. The part-time program is 30 weeks, and this is what we recommend if you are working full-time. So it is a lot. It's a bit different to uni. It's more based around simulating actually being in the workplace. So there's stuff due every week. So it's not like uni where you can maybe put stuff off till, you know, push it all back and do it all in one big lump. You can't do that in a workplace. You'll have things due every week, things that you need to tick off your to-do list every week. And that's what College of Law is like. So you'll have a certain number of assessments a week, a task to complete, and I need to explain more about that, and how many you have depends if you're full-time or part-time. So part-time, you still do have to give us the undivided attention full-time for week 1 in most cases. So there's another option that changes that a little bit, but I'll explain that in a moment. But let's just say Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 for those face-to-face intensive workshops, and then you'll go off and do the rest of the program. Weeks 2 to weeks 30 is at a slower pace. So that's what you do if you're working full time. So the next thing you'll have to decide on is whether you do it 100% online or blended learning. So if this was, you know, many moons ago in the olden days before COVID, Anita and I would be saying, okay, so that week 1 is when you come to the College of Law. It's located on Ann Street, very conveniently 1 block from Central Station, right next door to the King George Square bus stop, and you know, not too far from Queen Street. And you'll come and see us Monday to Friday for that face-to-face workshop, and then the rest is online. Then of course COVID happened, and we did that, you know, the buzzword, we pivoted, which was actually quite easy for the College of Law because we were practically there anyway. And we just changed that week 1 to online via Zoom. So it's not like this where it's kind of a bit of a one-way dialogue with you guys just asking a few questions. Everyone has to have their camera on because Anita or one of our other colleagues has to put their hand on their heart and make lots of promises to the admissions board that you were there for every single workshop. And much like when you attend face-to-face, you have to sign into every single workshop. And if you miss one, you have to come back and do it before you can get signed off for that week. So that's the 100% online one. In week 1's via Zoom, and there's breakout rooms, and you go back and forth, and you do group works, and you know, it's still very much very interactive. Now we're starting to bring week 1 back to face-to-face, and we call that our blended learning option, meaning week 1 is face-to-face, and we're doing that about 4 times a year at the College of Law. So being UQ students, you're probably not too far from us on Ann Street. So that's one choice. A second choice that you'll have to make. The third one is, you know, whether you get your own work experience or whether you need a little bit of help from us. So most of our students have usually got a graduate job, and I find that most UQ students do. However, if you don't, it's not a worry. You've got all the time in the world the next 2 years to get that done, and I'll explain that further when I get to the work experience section. But you might already have your graduate role, and that counts. That's absolutely it. You might be working now, and you can claim some of that now, well, if it's in the 2 years before you start PLT, so very soon it will count. Or you might need a little bit of help, and we've got some career resources for you. We've got some of our careers advisors that will help you with your resume and interview skills and all those job finding skills that you'll need. We also have a jobs board, so that's another choice. And then there's different choices on how you do your work experience that I'll talk about a little bit later on. Another decision that you'll have to make is regarding that the blended that week 1. So we also have an evening option. So instead of coming to us for that first week, some people, you know, it's just too busy from work from from work to, they've got a big matter on or whatever, and they want to start PLT, but they can't get away for that whole intensive week. You might have just started a new job and you're in training or something like that. So there is actually what we call our evening option. So it's after hours where we take week 1 and we cut it up into 12 workshops, and we run those workshops over 6 weeks. And we do that Tuesdays and Thursday nights from 6 o'clock. It's only for the part-time course, and it is part-time course, and it's online, so that's via Zoom. So you can stay late at work or zip home and be online by 6. So that works quite well. In fact, we've had to double the amount of offerings of that. So in summary, it's very flexible because there's all those different options to fit in around your other life commitments and work. We're adding those practical skills. We're giving you simulated real-world tasks, very similar to what you will be doing as that entry-level lawyer. And we're setting you up for success to be career ready from day 1 with the help of our careers team as well. We've been doing this for a long time, 48 years, going on 49 years, I think it is. And we are also trusted by over 30 of Australia's top law firms to train their graduates, which means if you do end up in a big Eagle Street firm, you will be coming to College of Law as a matter of course. They'll pay for it, and we are actually embedded within most of the graduate programs across Eagle Street. And sometimes Anita even goes down and teaches that 1 week, that first week down there. So, or sometimes you come as a special group up to college. So it kind of depends on what the firm wants. Those are some, really valuable partnerships that we've built over a long time. I think we've touched on most of this, 100% online or mixed, day or night, 15 weeks, 30 weeks. And we have about nationally 150 intakes a year, with about 30 of those in Queensland. I say about because when the demand calls for it, we have to put on new courses. So we've already added 2 new intakes this year. So you're not going, if you just miss out on one, or you're not quite ready to start because you want a little break at the end of the year across Christmas or something, you don't have to wait that 6 months. It's not like a university where there's 2 semesters a year. Pretty much, probably about 6 weeks would be the longest you'd have to wait between courses, depending on if you want to do it full-time or part-time. So that's exciting. And, if you at the last minute decide to move to a different state, then there's many, many offerings in all the other states as well. I think I've touched on most of this. About 77% of law students across Australia come to the College of Law, which is quite exciting. And there you are. We've been going since 1974. I was just a young toddler at that stage. So 48 years experience training. Practical legal training was invented, if you like, in the 90s. But we have been training lawyers since 1974. That's all we do. That's all we do is train lawyers. So it is our core business and why the College of Law exists. Now, if you are coming to do the face-to-face program with us, as you can see, it's not just Ann Street that you can go to. In Queensland, we also have those weeks in Cairns, Gold Coast, Rockhampton, Sunshine Coast, Toowoomba, Townsville, and many others locations around the country. And of course, online. So online is, you can be business on the top and jammies on the bottom with your dog next to you, which a lot of people are really enjoying. From the comfort of your home, you don't have to battle the traffic or anything like that. Get on public transport. Can't fit all the offerings onto one slide. So if you do go to our website at collaw.edu.au, you can see how many offerings we do have. Obviously, you guys, most of you aren't starting for another couple of years. But, if there was one, if you think, oh, that date in September, October looks good, you can probably be pretty confident that it'll be around the same time from year to year. We don't get too crazy with our timetable over the course of the years. We sort of just, where the courses fall in any given year, we just rinse and repeat most of the time. Sometimes we tweak it a little bit. Okay, so let's talk about the nuts and the bolts of doing PLT at the College of Law. So I like to divide and think about PLT in 3 separate components. So the 3 course pillars. Let's just imagine it's day 1 of PLT, and where it says 3 course pillars, in your mind's eye, just replace that with your name. And then underneath your name in the College of Law, computer system is 3 circles. 1 is coursework, 2 is work experience, and 3 is continuing professional education, or CPE. To get your completion certificate and earn your graduate diploma of legal practice, you need a tick in each of these 3 circles, coursework, work experience, and CPE, by the course end date or shortly thereafter. You've actually got a couple of years afterwards, so don't worry if you're not quite finished by the end date. You might have a little bit more work experience to do, for example. You obviously don't get all your completion documents till all 3 circles are ticked, but some people like to do, this is another thing about the flexibility of College of Law. Some people like to do their coursework and then start their work experience, or a lot of people do it at the same time. It's totally up to you. So your coursework will be attending week 1 workshops, and every single workshop is compulsory. They're not recorded. You have to be there live. If something happens, you have a doctor's appointment or you get sick and say you miss Monday, you would have to come, but you can still do Tuesday through Friday. You would have to come back and complete Monday next time we're running a course before that can be ticked off. So that's the workshop week, or lawyer's skills. Then you'll do 4 compulsory subjects and then choose 2 electives, and that's your coursework. Your work experience is, there's a couple of options. There's a 75-day option and there's a 15-day option. At the moment, we have a 0-day option, but unless there's someone starting this year, if anyone has jumped on, maybe put in the chat if anyone's thinking about starting this year. Everyone was here at the beginning, but I can't see if there's any new people. So if you are, or maybe I'll go through it briefly, but it is actually only going till the end of the year. But you guys are starting in 2 years. It potentially won't be around. It's due to end at the end of this year, unless the Chief Justice and the admitting bodies allow us to continue. The decision's actually out of our hands. And then the third bit is CPE. So we're going to talk about those 3 sections, but let's talk about coursework first. This is a combination of your lawyer skills workshops, interactive online tasks, and your practice area electives. And it's very, very practical. It's learning and then practicing what we've learned, practicing the practice of law, getting feedback from someone like Anita, one of our colleagues, reviewing that feedback, putting that feedback back into your work to improve it, and then learning from that and then making our practice better. So around and round we go. It's all about learning by doing in a safe, secure and supportive environment where you can make mistakes and gain that feedback without sending anyone to jail, or no one's losing their business or their kids. Nothing horrific or horrible is going to happen. It's in a simulated environment. So Anita, I might, I have lost all of my, I go end show, I think that works. Okay, I've lost all of my my normal control panels. So what we might do is I might hand over to Anita and take us through some of the Anita's actually going to show you our live system. This is a bit exciting. I don't get to see this often. And talk about what the assessment's like, how it's different to uni, how we move through tasks and the assessment and how that'll work. So if you've got any questions, please feel free to let us know. So I'll hand over to you, Anita.
All right, so what you're seeing on your screen here is, I've just opened the property practice subject, and you can see here, starts with a little bit of an introduction about what the subject is about, and the things that you're going to be completing in the subject. So very much like the syllabus that you're used to for your undergraduate subjects in your law degree. Each of our subjects is divided into a number of tasks, and those tasks might be made up of a number of activities. So don't think of a subject in PLT as an entire semester long where you have, say, a 5,000 word essay and an end of semester exam. They usually happen over a couple of weeks, depending if it's part-time or full-time, and you will have 4, 5, 6 activities to hand in during that time. So if it's part-time, you usually have 1, maybe 2 things due in every week. Full-time, it can be 3 or 4 activities that come in every week. Now, these aren't 5,000 word essays, obviously. They are things which are very much more practically oriented. It's in the name, practical legal training. So it's completing a contract, writing a letter to your client, those sorts of things that you would do in the day-to-day business of law in the early stages of your career. So the things that you would be expected to do as a graduate in a firm, essentially. So if we click into each of the buttons here, you can see that this then opens up our various tasks, and each of the tasks are then broken up into what you're doing, so your instructions, how to do it, your resources, case studies, so examples of what to do, and then obviously your submission, which is just where you actually upload the document that you have prepared. So if I jump in to this, for example, here are our instructions, and we give you a file. That's the instructions, the memo from the partner who's given you information and all of the details that you have on the file there for you to work with. The template, so because this is property and this particular activity is drafting a contract, that's the industry standard contract that most people will use for the sale of residential property. And then we can just click next, and it will take us through to our resources. And you can see here we have some notes. So these are just simple explanations of things that you might need to do. So there's diagrams, for example, or an explanation of how electronic conveyancing works. And then we have links to the relevant sections of what we call our practice papers. Now, these are textbooks that are written with the practical aspect of working as a lawyer in mind. So, for example, this one, Contracts for the Sale of Houses and Land, will tell you about the relevant legislation, the steps that you might need to work through, the relevant, the key terms of the contract, for example. And you can see here that we actually then direct you to the specific paragraphs in that chapter. So the entire chapter is relevant, but if you're really pressed for time, the absolute minimum is these specific paragraphs that have actually been noted there. Links to the relevant legislation, the Office of Parliamentary Counsel websites there, of course, for the official versions, and then additional websites which will help you to complete things to the absolute best that you can do. Case studies, as I said, so examples for you to work through, similar sort of things where you can, for example, analyse title to property. So you're looking at what the relevant law is, where do you find it, those sorts of things. So it's really, really practical around how those things work. And then obviously you upload it. Now, when you upload it, it comes to my inbox and I see your actual document there. And I will have a look at it, and I will open it, and I will then actually make some comments on it. So it might be little bubbles. We generally don't do markup documents, unfortunately, for you guys. There'll be comments about, yes, this is a great point, or oh, did you think about this, or go back and have a look at this legislation if you've misinterpreted something, for example. I also do a little bit of audio feedback where I will actually talk through the activity and things that you should have been aware of or hopefully picked up, just in case you've accidentally got the correct answer, because I can't always figure out that you've got to the right answer with the wrong reasoning, although often I can. And so if it's not yet at the standard that we would expect of an entry-level lawyer, I'll make some comments and ask you to have another go. And so you'll have an opportunity to resubmit that activity. And we keep doing that until it is at the standard that we expect. And once all of the activities are at that standard of an entry-level lawyer, then you will go in to sit an oral assessment. So that's a face-to-face exam with someone like me on one side of the computer screen and you sitting on the other, asking you questions around the things that you learned in the subject. So it won't be necessarily asking you, what did you put in paragraph 2 of the letter of advice that you drafted for your client. So it won't be that sort of specific level about your activities, but it will be around the things that you needed to know and where you found that information and why that's relevant and why that's important. And that is really designed to give you the confidence to have those conversations with your supervisors, partners you're working for, senior practitioners in your firm, so that you can hold your own in a conversation about why you made the choices you made, because you have those conversations all the time in a law firm. Now, obviously, it's an assessment, so it's not quite the same, but that's along those sorts of lines. And if you have done all of the work and the activities, then you should be able to approach that assessment with a fair degree of confidence that you you'll be just fine at the end of the assessment. So that's what we do in a nutshell. Jackie, is there anything else?
Did I unmute myself? No, I think that's you've pretty much summed it up. And does anyone have any questions about coursework? It is, as Anita said, designed to mimic work. So the reason everything is designed to mimic what you would do in a firm. So, you know, your boss doesn't come in and say, you know, hi, Charlotte, I'd like to know where you are up to on that particular matter. Next Friday, drop me an email, you know, drop me a document with a 500 word or a 5,000 word or anywhere in between summary of where you're up to. They will say, come into my office right now and talk to me about that. And so you need to have that practice of, as Anita said, explaining why you've done things, where you found the information, you know, what your recommendations are.
Yeah,
all of that.
And
Yeah.
it's a space where you can practice and you can ask those questions with zero real life consequences.
Yes.
If you make the wrong recommendation, we can help you correct your reasoning or your understanding or those sorts of things. And no one actually loses money or goes to jail or any of those things.
Exactly.
All that happens is you get another chance to have a go at the activity, having had some feedback and an opportunity to revisit what you learned.
Absolutely. So that's coursework. So look, most people are a bit nervous about that first time they have to do that. But once they've done one, they get the hang of it and they go, okay, now I know how to prepare. But seriously, if you've worked through all your tasks and activities and you understand what you've done, you're confident in that work, it is open book. You have to know the work, though. You can't be really looking. You don't have time to look stuff up on the spot. But if you've reflected on what you've learnt, taken in the feedback as well, and you know, you'll be fine. And the team are all very lovely, and they're there to you know, to help you through that final assessment. So it's just think of it as a bit of a review chat with a senior lawyer that you're working for. So but usually people say, oh yeah, from the second one onwards, I felt a little bit better. I was a bit nervous the first time, and that's totally normal. All right, so what we might do is go back to my, can you see that, Anita, the slides? No. I
We've not been able to see any of your slides, Jackie.
What? Huh?
We've never been able to see your slides.
Are you joking me?
No.
You didn't see any of those slides? You didn't see any of the slides beforehand? No way.
Way, we can see this now. You're good.
Okay, so you didn't see any of all these beautiful slides. Why didn't you not tell me this? Hopefully I went through them. Anyway, we have an amazing team of, yeah, it wasn't coming up properly, so I do apologize for that. And hopefully you'll see the rest of them. But this is our team. My screen now looks like it should. I don't know what was happening. This is some of our amazing team. We've got very experienced legal practitioners on our team. So some of them are full-time lecturers like Anita, but all of those full-time lecturers, they worked for many years in firms and then found their way to the College of Law, and we grabbed them out of the profession. They still do maintain their practicing certificates. Anita herself does a lot of volunteer work, pro bono work at places like Caxton Street and was it Caxton Clinic? And a lot of them are still in the profession though. So they work for us part-time, and they are mediators, they are lawyers, they are barristers, they're tribunal members. They're very senior and experienced members of the profession that are also passionate about mentoring and developing the next generation of legal practitioners. So I don't even know how many years just on that screen worth of experience, many, many, many years. And that's not our whole team. There's lots of different practitioners that we have and you'll meet lots of them throughout the workshops, and also you'll have different assessors. It won't be the same person each time. So that's some of them. Okay, so that's coursework. That's the first tick box. So coursework without slides. So I'm sorry about that. Hopefully the recording might have them. So work experience is the second tick box, and there's another decision to be made. You don't have to make it till you are with us. But this is the decision. So I'm going to focus on the 75 days and the 15 day, and I'll briefly mention the 0 day in case there's anyone watching the recording that needs to know that information if they're coming to us this year. So the 75 day option is our standard option that probably most people do. So this is 75 days of work experience. 60 of those 75 days can be completed in the 2 years prior to PLT. So some of you mentioned that you were probably coming into PLT at the College of Law in the second half of 2024. Let's just pick a month and say September 2024. That means that from September this year, you can be starting to accumulate your work experience up to 60 of those 75 days. The final 15 days have to be done at the same time you're doing your PLT coursework, or you've got 2 years after PLT. So as you can see, you've got 4 and a bit years to do that work experience. So do not worry if you've got none and the person sitting next to you has a heap. It does not matter in the long run. You'll all get to admission, just maybe some sooner than later, but basically 75 days, no additional program to do. You do a reflective journal on the final 15 days and some forms signed by your supervisor, and you'll sign all the forms, they'll sign all the forms, and you'll submit that to college, and that's your work experience. Now, and the second option is our shorter format option. It's 15 days of work experience in total. You can't claim any of those retrospectively. It is all done during the same time or in the 2 years after your coursework, and you'll do an additional 6-week module. So it's called a clinical experience module. It's an extra subject. There is an extra charge for that if you so choose to do it. It's totally up to you. Sometimes people are working, especially you double degrees. Let's just say, I've had a few students go through that were law and accounting students, and they're actually working on the accounting side of the business, and they need to take sort of maybe some unpaid work experience to do their practical legal training work experience. It's not feasible to take off 75 days unpaid, but 15 days you could take leave from one place and go to another place. Or you might just want to move through a bit quicker. It's totally up to you. There is a 0 day option at the moment, only available to the end of 2022. And it's 0 days of work experience, and you do an 8-week simulated online program with a mentor. So someone like Anita will be your mentor for each course. So each course has an Anita or Tara or Graham or Lisa or one of our lecturers assigned to that group, and they're your first point of contact. That's your course mentor. But people doing the 0 day work experience option will have a second mentor that we assign you, and that's the person that takes you through the 8-week program. There is obviously an additional cost for that as well. So if you're those coming to us in 2024, potentially that option's not available. So it will be our standard 75-day option or a 15-day short option. At the moment, we're finding less and less people are doing that 0 day option. It's not ideal. It came about because of COVID, and we sat and watched the jobs board go. It was quite depressing. Students were really stressed about no work experience being offered at that time. So this came into play across every jurisdiction. But we're finding people actually do really want that real world work experience, either 15 days or 75 days. And the profession would probably prefer you to do that as well. So eventually, as we get more back to normal, you'll probably find that it's just the two options when you start. So we've got a careers coaches and we've got a jobs board to help you find those. There's PLT placements as well as ongoing roles available through our jobs board as well. We had over 1,000 jobs go through that jobs board last year. That's nationally, not just Queensland. Okay, so that's the work experience, and you'll do forms and sign all that off. Does anyone have any questions about work experience before we move on to CPE?
Hi, Jackie. I had a quick question about work experience.
Hit me.
If you're working at a law firm, for instance, can you count that as your work experience?
It depends what the role is. So if you are doing legal work, so if you are doing more admin, secretarial, reception work, no. But if you are doing more clerk or paralegal work, yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
That's
so
great.
if you're working in that sort of a role now, pretty much as soon as the flag drops for that 2-year countdown to PLT, you can be starting to accumulate your 60 days.
Okay, perfect. Thanks very much, Jackie.
And you could get those forms in straight away. You don't have to wait till you're here. You can send them away, have college keep them safe and sound on the system, and then don't worry about work experience again until after you've done your week 1.
Oh, great.
Which is exciting, yeah. So the third tick box is continuing professional education. So when you are a lawyer, the Queensland Law Society or the, depending on, let's just assume it's Queensland, it's the QLS here, will require you to do a certain number of points every year of CPE, because you don't want to go and see a doctor that trained even 5 years ago, let alone 10, 15, 20 or more years ago, that hasn't had any new medical knowledge in that time period. The law changes, just as medicine changes and accounting changes. You need to do that CPE every year to keep your skills and knowledge up to date. So when you are a lawyer, you can go to conferences, you can go to things that the QLS hold, your work might do stuff, they might send you for courses. There's a whole variety of things that you can do, and you just need to do 10 points a year, which is actually pretty minimal compared to some other professions. I was quite surprised when I heard it was only 10 points, but they are divided up into different areas as well. So, but at college, it's just 10 points, and we practice that during PLT. So we give you 10 hours of self-paced online interactive modules. It's called the Legal Tech and Business Skills Series for the Changing Future of the Law. And that gives you an extra certificate of legal tech and business, which is quite exciting. It's something else to add to your CV or add to your resume, add to your LinkedIn, talk about in interviews. And pretty much just these 10 modules you can work through at your own pace. So some people like to do 1 or 2 a weekend and sort of split it up over the time. Or here's my new saying that I'm trying to get into the vernacular: you can Bridgerton the lot, which means start at 1, smash your way through to 10, which is how I watched Bridgerton 2 series over Easter with my friend Nasoni. So pretty much just smash it out in one sitting. It's totally up to you, or you can just tick 1 off a week throughout the course of when you're doing PLT. Extra certificate, extra thing on your resume, and that ticks off CPE. So pretty much that's just all included. So in week 1, when you're doing those introductory workshops, your lecturer on usually on the Tuesday will take you through and show you how to find them on your login, and then you just do them whenever you want. So that's CPE. It's actually pretty easy. You just do the modules, done. And then that will tick off the third part of PLT. So we talked a lot about supporting you throughout your journey at college. It starts now. We have obviously me, and you can link with me on LinkedIn, get in contact if you have questions, send me an email, come and see me when I'm on campus, come and drop into college, give me a phone call, send a carrier pigeon, whatever you want to do, asking questions along the way. So if you do, like next week, you're thinking, I should have asked that question last Tuesday night, just drop me an email. Totally happy to answer any questions you have. We also have a wonderful student liaison team as part of our student support services down there based in Sydney. They're available on email and the phone, and they're there to sort of help you with those admin-y things or answer any sort of general questions about the program as well. When you're doing PLT, we've got our wonderful instructing team, such as Anita. You'll have someone assigned to your group, your cohort. That's your course mentor, and they're the ones, quite often that is your first port of call when maybe you know, something's come up at work, you need a little extension, that sort of thing. So they're there to support you through the course and give you that individual feedback on your work as well, and keep you on track, you know, keep you moving through so that you're hitting, you're ticking all those circles off by your course end date. And then we have our wonderful career coaches as well. That's Susan. That's actually the career coach, Susan Pincus, based in Melbourne. She's just the loveliest lady. And we have another lovely lady based out of Sydney called Ruth. But they support all students online. You can book in once you're a College of Law student for a one-on-one session with them about interview prep, resume, get your resume reviewed, building your personal brand. They run a lot of free workshops that are available to you now, and I always send them through to UQ, and you know, that they're popped up on your Facebook. So if you see those sorts of things, jump online if they interest you. Register for the workshop. It's a bit like tonight. If you can't attend live, you'll just get the recording afterwards. So it's really interesting to have, you know, those resources. Don't forget that the Bell faculty probably has one of the best career teams in Queensland, and I deal with them all. And Johnny and the team are amazing. So make sure you're going to events on campus. Now, I do get a little bit cranky with UQ students when they don't take advantage of all. You guys are the most spoiled out of every single university. You have the most support. You have the Central Careers team. You have the Bell Faculty Careers team. You have the Alumni Association. You have the UQLS. You can't go more than a couple of steps at UQ without tripping over someone that wants to help and support you. So take advantage of all of those things. So you don't have to do everything every semester. Just pick and choose a couple of things to do every semester to improve where you're going to be at the end. Take every opportunity to network with the profession would be one of my main tips. But we also have our team here for when you're at College of Law. And we also have something that's just being launched at the moment called our New Lawyer Toolkit. So we actually have an online platform that will give you a lot of resources and access to all sorts of stuff to help you through that first 12 months. You get access to that when you're a student. So that's quite exciting. And we also have our own connections to the profession. We have our jobs board, we have our alumni as well. So lots of support along the way to help you succeed, not only at PLC, but into the profession as well. So that's quite exciting. One question that I do get asked a lot is, when can I start? So this is actually when you have completed all your pre-C 11 and have no more than 2 electives left. So you can come to us in the last semester, and but you have to have met that. That's a national criteria for all practical legal training providers. It's set down by all the admitting bodies and some very important people in the profession. So if you were in your last semester just doing a couple of electives and you've done all your pre-C 11, you can start a bit earlier, but that's totally up to you. Fee help is available, so you can, so much like HECS for your undergraduate, fee help is your postgraduate pot of money, so you can defer those costs. And Australian citizens, it's just over $9,000 for your course. So that's your practice papers, which is your textbooks. We'll give you those online and a hard copy too if you do want that. Every single material that you'll need for the course, your CPE, and all those other support services. There's no extra. There is extra if you want to do so it's kind of like pay for what you need. So if you're wanting to do the short format, it's at the moment $1,500 extra with that 6-week program, and the 0-day option with the mentors, an extra $2,000. So you'll just do one or the other, you don't do both. So that's totally up to you. If you're just going through on the 75-day format, you just pay that base fee. Everything is included. So no more running down to the a bookshop and spending hundreds more dollars, which I know you guys have to do at uni. So that's great news. And our practice papers are really good. There's a lot of admitted lawyers who are our alumni that say, you know what, don't have any of my uni books anymore, but I've got my practice papers behind me in my office, and I refer to them from time to time, especially when it's work that you're doing that's maybe not something you do every day, and you need to refer to that. And you'll have the new lawyer toolkit as well, which is quite exciting. So the PLT for me is real world tasks, not old school theory, giving you skills for real life. We'll do role play interviews, we'll do role play negotiations, we'll do role play courtroom appearances under the guidance of someone like Anita, so, you know, people who are actual legal practitioners with many, many years of experience. We'll give you practice in a safe, secure, supportive environment of completing the common tasks that you'll do, mimicking how work in a firm or in the legal profession is. So you'll do actual practical tasks, mimicking the world of work. It's not theoretical based as well. Then you'll get individual feedback based on the work that you're submitting and the opportunity to resubmit, put that feedback back into your work and resubmit it if needed. And you'll have that support along the way. And then at the end of each subject, you'll do the face-to-face assessment, or the less threatening language is review session. So think about it as a review session with your supervisor rather than an assessment, and that might calm the nerves a bit. And you'll sit down face-to-face on a screen like this and have a conversation about that particular subject, and that's your final assessment for each subject. So we had a little bit of a think and a little bit of chat to our grads about how to start thinking about deciding on a PLT provider. Do they have regular intakes? Well, the College of Law is 150 nationally, over 30 in Queensland. You don't have to, in Queensland, you don't go more than a month, 6 weeks at the longest. So 4 to 6 weeks between each course, which is really good. You don't need to miss one and wait 6 months. Can you study your way? At the College of Law, you can study part-time, you can study full-time. You can divide that week one up into the individual workshops and do that over evening classes over 6 weeks. So if you don't have to take that block of time off, you can do your 75-day work experience option. You can start it before PLT. You can do the 15-day option, or at the moment, if you are coming to us this year, you can do that 0-day option. So there's lots of different things. You can do your coursework first and then you do your work experience. You can do it at the same time. So you fit it in and around all the other life commitments. Obviously, you have to have those 3 ticks before you can get your completion documentation. Can you do the program quickly? If you are submitting all your work on time, doing your work experience, getting your forms in, doing your CPD, so basically doing everything that you're supposed to do by when you're supposed to do it, yes, you can get through our program in 15 weeks. So it is quite quick process if you're doing it full time. Another thing to do is to check where you don't have to go very far to find UQ. We get probably the majority of UQ grads, I would say, come through the College of Law. It's a very popular program for UQ grads. So you won't go far to find people who have done College of Law. So have a chat to some friends, some students who are a little bit ahead of you, or colleagues if you're working, about where they did PLT and how they found it. And also, as Queenslanders, is there local campuses? Yes, we have a beautiful campus, teeny tiny compared to UQ, but it's lovely. It's in the city across from King George Square. You always know the time because you can hear the clock. Local contact, we have practice papers, Queensland practice papers for Queensland students, and we're learning Queensland law with Queensland local practitioners. So that all those faces I showed you are Queenslanders who have or are practicing in Queensland. So it's all very Queensland derived. That doesn't mean that you can't go interstate with your Queensland PLT qualification. There are agreements between the states, and if you are here and then you're all of a sudden, oh, I'm moving to Sydney, then you just apply for admission in New South Wales or Victoria or Western Australia, or whatever state it is. You don't have to do PLT again, of course, but obviously we have that Queensland support team behind the Queensland course. I'll zip through this because I'm conscious of the time. Last year, over 5,000 PLT students entered the profession from the College of Law. Ruth and Susan were very busy. They saw over 425 students for career consultations. We've got over 277 qualified lawyers mentoring our students. Last year, we ran 180 programs in 7 Australian states and territories. That's quite impressive. And we delivered resources in over 19 locations. Over 1,000 jobs went through the jobs board. That's nationally. And then another couple of things to mention is if you do PLT at the College of Law and then you're looking to do your master's, we have a very practical master's program that's really very popular in the profession. Very, it's like not theoretical at all. You're applying that knowledge straight to what's on matters on your desk. You can actually 8 subjects. We'll give you 2 credits for 2 electives, so 8 subjects become 6, which you can comfortably do 1 subject at a time in a year and a half. So that's quite exciting as well. We do the prep course for admission into the UK as well as New York and California. And we've just celebrated 6 years of the Centre for Legal Innovation. So if anyone's got any interest in technology in the law, please connect with the Centre for Legal Innovation at the College of Law and learn more about that. They've got a whole lot of host of free programs and stuff you can do all online there as well. So I'd really encourage you to follow the College of Law on either Facebook or LinkedIn or both. We do Instagram and apparently tweet as well, but Facebook and Instagram, LinkedIn is where you'll find most of the information about what's happening. I'd love it if you connected with me on LinkedIn as well. If my phone was blowing up with connections, that would be awesome. And then we can be connected. You can never lose me and you can ask me questions, or do feel free to email me at jowen, O-W-E-N, at collaw, that's COLLAW.edu.au, and we can make a time to chat if you want to chat on the phone. Sometimes that's easier. I'll be sending you this recording along with a link to our handbook, but that is a QR code to the handbook if you are keen to download that this evening. But I'll download this recording, send it off to marketing and send this to you either by the end of the week or early next week. And I'll include that and some different information. I've got a LinkedIn tips book and a few things I'd love to send you. So what I might do is end the stop sharing and come back to the main screen and see if there's any questions from anyone. So feel free to ask via your microphone or in the chat box. But thanks very much for being with us this evening, and Charlotte to getting everything organised for us, and Anita for being here on a Tuesday night as well, looking ravishing in your red top. I love that top. You match the new branding colours very well, by the way.
That wasn't intentional.
Pretended it was, just for me. About the work experience. How do we record the working days that you work in a 2-year period? That's a great question, Michael. I'm just going to write our here www.collaw.edu.au/ you can go to this page now, downloads. If you go to that page, sorry. I'll answer Michael's question, then I'll come back to you, Joey. Okay, so if you go to that page, and I could probably even go to, hold on, I'll stop. I'll just get out of my presentation and I'll go and I can show you actually. Let's go to that page now. Collaw, I've got a pussycat that's hungry around my ankles at the moment. / downloads. Okay, let me share that with you. Okay, so Michael and everyone else, if you come down here, you can see work experience forms and downloads. you do a couple of different forms. So you can have as many different employers as you want. So let's just say you do 20 days here, 30 days there, and then another 25 at a third job. For every employer that you have, or every placement that you have, or whatever it is, you need a set of forms. So first of all, you do, and you can do this retrospectively, but ideally, you would fill out the work experience application for approval form at the beginning of however many days you're going to be doing, whatever placement or new job it is. And that says, hi college, this is where I'm working, this is my position, this is who my supervisor is. You sign it, your supervisor signs it, and then at the end of it, you do this one, the work experience declaration form that says, hi college, I finished. The same supervisor must sign it, because it's the person signing you off, not the firm. And you sign it, they sign it. Part of that has a so you can, it's not a long document. This here, Michael. So you would fill out your name, you'd have your college enroll number and all that, your course code and all that sort of stuff. And I would just print this out and put it on your desk. And then you literally do the dates 1 to 75 or 1 to 15, and what date it was it a full day or a half day? Because you can actually do 2 4-hour days in the same week for it to be a full day. But let's just say it's full days, and you sign it, and there's student signature and supervisor signature. So that you're literally saying exactly what date it is. So yeah, it's quite easy. That page has lots of things. There's a work experience guide for students, work experience guide for supervisors, the work experience rules, all the firm forms, and then the journal that the 75-day people will have. There is the dates for the short work experience people, short format. I'm not saying you're short, that would be what I would have to do because I'm only short. Clinical experience module dates, that goes with that 15-day option, and then the form, and then yeah, so that's all the information. There's pretty much information on all the different things down there. So that's how you do it. Joey's got a question. Just wondering, will the elective courses, family law and practice, stay the same for next year? Yes. Electives don't change really, do they, Anita? No. They've been the same as far as I know for 5 years since I've been here.
Yes, so banking and finance was introduced probably 6 years ago now.
Yep.
The subjects, the electives, the tasks that you do are set by a committee,
Yes.
which is formed of the law societies, the legal practice admission boards, the chief justices of the courts, members of the profession, members of the PLT teaching community. There are a lot of people who have a say in that. It takes years to have any change. So you're safe. Those are your electives.
Those are your electives. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Do we have any more questions? Thanks very much for hanging in there with us and for having some questions. We love it when there's questions. If you do think about anything, you know, after this, just send me an email or jump on LinkedIn and send me a message. So Charlotte, thanks very much for getting this organised. Thanks to everyone who registered. Thanks to everyone who attended. Thanks Anita for coming along as well. And it's been a pleasure hanging out with you. And I look forward to hopefully seeing some of you on campus very soon and seeing you at the College of Law in the next couple of years as well. So let's all go watch MasterChef or whatever we're doing this evening and feed our pussycats. And I look forward to chatting to you soon. And thanks again. I will be sending this recording out with some resources next week. So have a good night, everyone.
Thanks very much, Jackie.
Thanks, Charlotte. I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Bye.
Okay, bye.